Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a very, very important episode of Big Apple Hockey because we have a lot to discuss today. Alexander Ovechkin passing Wayne Gretzky. Did it happen now? Yeah. Actually, he did pass him on something just last night. Also, Ilya Sorokin as a Vezina candidate, but we got a bigger story to talk about. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, who has been hopelessly addicted to God of War Ragnarok. And I am joined by a Mr. Anthony Larocco.
Yeah, and happy birthday to the man you're about to announce. Hopefully he enjoyed his day. But yeah, it's a good show that we got on tap for today.
Oh, yeah, and that's why I had to go over here. Without further ado, we have to wish a happy birthday to our own Mr. John Fulkowski. We got the balloons for you right over there. And the happy birthday, Phil banner.
I was about to say, just as long as you guys aren't singing to me, I think I'll be good. But another year around the sun and probably another game that'll lead me one step closer to probably keeling over and dying of cardiac arrest with this team. Can't wait for that.
Fortunately, I drink a lot to begin with anyway, so the Rangers aren't forcing me to drink as much as you'd think. But that is actually where we're going to begin. Because first, I have to say, after most Ranger games, we've been busy. It's been the holidays, guys. Sorry about it. But you get either the John Fulkowski final buzzer or you get the 60-second reviews on Instagram with me. And you could always check out more articles at bigapplehockeypodcast.com, but try to get more of them on there. And actually, I still got 2 more of these trucker hats. They are available if you click the link. They're only this type, the blue one, but we're going to be getting more on that because after our last show, guys, we said the Rangers got to win that last game on the road trip. They can't lose a game to Anaheim and be their first regulation win. Well, they lost in regulation and became their only regulation win. And then they blow 3-0 leads to the Oilers and a 2-0 lead to the Devils and lose in regulation. They fail to get a point in the last 3 versus the worst team in the NHL and 2 teams they had multi-goal leads on. Philk, is after this 0-3 week, is this the precipice of their season or is it just a speed bump?
I don't even know anymore. I always thought of myself as somebody who might have somewhat of an answer to things. Not that I know everything because I don't. I really don't. But the one thing I will say is whoever designed that or whoever came up with that no quit in New York hashtag, they can't use that this season because this team does nothing but quit. The coaches quit on the players. The players have quit on each other. The goaltender is this short of quitting on the team.
And himself.
And himself at this point. He's smashing sticks in practice over soft goals that he's letting in practice. There's nothing to this team. I don't know what there's no identity. So whatever they're striving for, it's a complete crock of crap. I just don't get this. The last time I saw a team play like this, or this team rather, they were trying to get David Quinn fired, and they were successful in that, as we can see. But now you have the coach throwing the players under the bus saying, figure it out. It's on them. No. Gerard, sack up and be a man and be a coach and be a leader because you're not a leader. You're not. And you haven't shown any reason as to why every single fan of this team shouldn't want you fired, shouldn't want you on a taxi cab out of wherever the next game is after tonight. I mean, a taxi cab would be something nice. A rundown Uber would actually be something nice for him at this point. It's a joke. This is a complete joke. You have Jacob Trouba telling you that, oh, I'm going to play. You can't tell me that I'm not going to play. And when you're hurt, what are you, Gerard? Are you a clown? Are you running Barney and friends over there? Is everybody going to get together and sing Kumbaya around a fire pit, roast some damn s'mores, and everything's going to be A-O-friggin-K? Is that what it's going to be? We're going to continue to send out Power Play 1 and have them do the same stupid things over and over again? Oh, they're her. Let's force this cross-ice pass to Mika Zibanejad that everybody knows coming because he thinks he's Alexander Ovechkin and he's not. Great, because that's working. Oh, Adam Fox, how about you pass the puck some more? Nobody knows that you're not going to shoot. That's definitely not a problem. The team's speed is definitely not a problem. Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere have both been here for multiple seasons now, and I haven't seen one, and I mean one, noticeable stride in their straight line skating and their speed. Not one. Capo Caco has pretty good edge work, I would say. I mean, he's pretty hard to knock off the puck. That's a plus, right? But he's sitting there making 2 to 3 moves, going around and around in a circle like Matt Barzal. But the difference is that Capo Caco isn't the playmaker that Matt Barzal is, and he isn't the skater. So instead of taking the puck to the net, driving to the slot, and getting to the high danger areas and firing shot off, he's doing God knows what with the puck. And that's why the points aren't piling up for him. And Alexis Lafreniere, you were a first overall draft pick, and I get it. You went through an idiot coach, and now you're dealing with apparently another idiot coach. But show some spine. Show why you were a first overall pick. Show us something that gives us some sort of hope that one day you will be a point-per-game player that can be this team's franchise player. Because the guy wearing number 10 is playing like a chicken shit coward. Doing nothing at 5-on-5. He's been an albatross at 5-on-5. You went how many games without a point at 5-on-5? How many games without a goal?
Or a shot on net.
Doing nothing at 5-on-5. Oh, and then don't even talk to me about Casper the Friendly Chris Kreider, because I'm not even going to call ghosts anymore. I'm going to call them Chris Kreiders, because that's what they are. They're Chris Kreiders. They're not ghosts. Chris Kreider is the thing that disappears and walks through walls, apparently, because he doesn't know how to go to the high danger areas anymore. He doesn't know how to work his ass off anymore like he used to. You know what? I don't see where the production is coming from with these guys anymore. And then you have the coach continuously putting out guys like Jimmy Vesey on your top line. Hey, ding dong, moron. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. Stop doing it. Stop. If you want to tank for Connor Bedard, yeah, that's great. Then go ahead and continue to do this. Because by all means, I'd love to watch him screw him up too and turn him into a third-line checker. Oh, that's going to be a ton of fun.
Oh, no, Phil. No, he'd be on the fourth line, and he'd have to earn his ice time. Because
you know what?
That's what you got to do. They got to earn their ice time.
Why does Ryan Carpenter continue to play? What does this guy do to give anything to this lineup? Win faceoffs? That's great. Why don't we go get Luke Glendening instead, a guy who can actually still somewhat play the game of hockey and actually wins faceoffs at an even higher clip? That's great. And at least he's a good penalty killer. Ryan Carpenter isn't good at that. Nothing is right with this team. Something has to change. And if the idea is to tell the players to grow a pair and to step up, then the coach is lost. And then the coach doesn't deserve his job at this point. And it's sad because I was so high on this guy, and I never understood why he got fired unceremoniously from 3 different locations mid-season each time. Do you know how hard it is to fire a coach mid-season? Do you know the shuffling that has to be done to make that work?
And especially one that you have under contract for at least 2 more years?
I don't get it. But he was fired unceremoniously from his last 2 stops after leading his teams to successful seasons. What does that tell you about this guy? It's happening for a 4th time. Actually, sorry, a 3rd time, because Columbus, he wasn't successful in Columbus, and no one could have been with that roster. But that's besides the point. It's happening for a 3rd time, and there's nothing, and I mean nothing, that is going to stop this other than a change, because this team doesn't have it. They don't want it. They don't care. It's like the country club vibe from the early 2000s with this team all over again. Show up, collect a paycheck, go home, party, drink, and enjoy the NYC nightlife, because that's what it is. That's what it is. I've been saying for how many weeks now, Mark? How many weeks now that this team is 92, 93 all over again?
About 5 weeks at least.
5 weeks? What is it? 5 weeks? Bring in Barry. It is time. I don't care what anybody says. And the people that tell me that he's going to coach like he coached the Islanders don't know what they're talking about because they didn't watch him coach in Washington when he had the ability. He had the firepower to have an offense.
Well,
it's time. It has to happen.
Well, first off, kudos to Phil. He went a solid 9.5 minutes right there. So I was hoping to step in, but I gotta turn it over to Mr. LaRocco first. Anthony, there's like times where you have to throw down some discipline, right?
Yeah. I mean,
novel concept, right?
He summed up everything that's really going on. And for me, the big thing that jumps out off the page is that it does look like they quit. When you blow a 3-0 lead to the Oilers in the third period and then a 2-0 lead to the Devils, it just shows like once something goes wrong and they give up a goal, they say, "Oh, here we go again," and they just deflate and the effort just just disappears. And look, as I said, it was yesterday, all things aren't lost. I mean, they're 2 points behind Pittsburgh for the last wild card spot, but so it's not like the end of the world, but it's just the point that they're even in this position. Everyone thought they would be, top of the division. Here they are, struggling. So, there's a lot of things going on. I do think they don't have a spine. Leon Draisaitl skating by Jacob Trouba and knocking the stick out of his hand and no one doing a goddamn thing.
I have seen in a very long time, more disgraceful than the Tom Wilson incident.
Yeah, it's how no one did anything. I mean, I could tell you, if someone did that to Anders Lee, not only would Lee probably say something, someone else on the ice would have stuck up for him and took umbrage to it. And no one on the Trouba
would have ran somebody.
So wait, hold on, wait a minute. Let me just throw this one out there because I did throw this one on Twitter. 2 minutes remaining in a game, that would be the time to just go up and go. And you just lost a 3-goal lead and giving up the go-ahead goal with 2 minutes remaining. That's the time to go make a stink about it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter.
I know they don't. At that point, you have to. And you know what? If anybody complains about that, then watch them complain when nobody does anything about it and players just start taking runs at the guys. You know what? Jacob Trouba is supposed to be this captain. What it shows is that this leadership group is not good enough. And it is what I said when they gave him the captaincy. And before that, that this leadership group was not good enough. They weren't. Nobody on this team was worthy of a captaincy. And that just proved it right there. Game over. Exclamation point. End of story.
And I gotta throw my 2 cents in there too because I did it Monday night. Oh my god, as sinuses were starting to hit me. Hold on, guys, I'm gonna pause. Somebody else talk for a second because I gotta mute my phone.
I think there's a couple different issues at hand here. And one of which, last season. Igor Shesterkin was playing like, Phil had mentioned, peak level Dominik Hasek. This year he's at a .913 save percentage, which that's a big difference. And you're seeing it. He's not dominating like he did last year. Number 2, Kakko and Lafreniere. They're not producing points, and that hurts. Look, they're not the reason why the Rangers are losing games, but by any they're not making like, egregious turnovers that are causing the Rangers to lose. But come on, guys, having 10 and 8 points respectively, I mean, that's just bad.
It comes down to usage. It comes down to usage. That's what I've been saying all along.
That goes back to the coach. That's the problem. It goes right back to the coach because the coach is the definition of insanity. Doing the same damn thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Why do you continue to put Jimmy Vesey on the top line when you have top two overall picks that you said? The very first thing he said is that these young kids were going to come in, get ice time, and they were going to develop. And what has he done? The exact polar opposite of that. And he's putting Jimmy Vesey there.
And Barclay Goodrow on the second line too.
Why is Barclay Goodrow out in a situation where you were down by a goal or more with under 5 minutes left? Why is he out there in that situation? Why? And why is he an extra attacker when the goalie's pulled? I want to know that.
Now, and by the way, even though I think one of those times it worked, but still, going further into that, you're talking about 30 minutes of ice time to Adam Fox in a game in November without overtime? Are you kidding me?
There's no reason for that. Oh, no. There actually is a reason. The captain has been dog shit.
Yeah.
Because he's hurt and refuses to sit, and the coach doesn't have the balls to sit him.
I mean, look, we've been saying this for a while. And first off, by the way, to get what I was saying before, if you watch my 60-second recap, the Rangers are dead. This is done. Now, well, I'm going to get to the second part of that. Can they be fixed in a moment? But this team,
this is rock bottom.
As far as it goes, like this, they have to sit Jacob Trouba. If not healthy, scratch him. And I do that, the healthy scratch. You got to send a message. You got to send a message that this isn't what you are supposed to be doing, especially if you're a Stanley Cup contender, like people thought they were coming into the season. Now, is it because could last year have been some fool's gold? Maybe we should have thanked Pittsburgh for they should have finished the Rangers in 5, but instead they choked like dogs 3 times in that series.
No, but that's a different team.
That one.
That's a different team. This roster is so poorly constructed. And you know what? You want to let's even out Strome and Trocheck because that's we'll call that a wash.
Although
we'll call that a wash. But you still lost Vetrano, you lost Kopp, you lost Mott, you lost a guy on each on 3 of your 4 lines that could really, really help this team out. And that's a big thing. And that's got to be on one, Chris Drury, because you traded away Pavel Buchnevich for one of those guys that came back in Sammy Blais, and that was just a horrible deal. I'm not going to beat that dead horse, though. And 2, on Jeff Gorton, because you gave shit contracts to guys like Chris Kreider, who doesn't deserve the deal that he has, doesn't at all, and Jacob Trouba, who you bid against yourself for. If $8 million was the ask for Jacob Trouba 3 years ago, that was his camp's ask, you should have turned around, said, hey, you know what? We can't push this rebuild as far quickly as we'd like to, and just sent him elsewhere. Sent him elsewhere. Because you wouldn't have an $8 million waste of ice time on your team, and you could actually go and improve your team right now without having to worry about cap space.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because right now, here's the real question. Now, Anthony, let's start with you. And especially being a man on the outside, and that smile was way too big on your face as you were hearing us in this segment. But Anthony, can the Rangers be fixed right now?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, it's still relatively early. It's not December yet, and they are only 2 points behind Pittsburgh. So that's plenty of time, but there are some fundamental issues that are the bigger problem that need to be addressed, mainly Gerard Gallant and his coaching. I mean, it can be fixed if Chris Drury made a move, but I don't think he's going to at this point. I think unless something goes, you know, they really spiral down the hill where I'm talking, you know, lose 8 in a row. I don't see him being removed. Him being removed, I think would help a lot. And then also, I think that, you know, if Igor Shesterkin could start to regain his form from last year, that will help a lot too. So it can be fixed. Like I said, there's plenty of time, but there are legitimate things to be really worried about.
It's time that he's been held accountable.
Yeah, well, yes. I mentioned Lafreniere, Kakko, and Marc. I mean, the only thing I disagree with is, I mean, yeah, usage is big. And I get that, you know, Ranger fans were excited about them because they were first, second overall. So some don't want to like criticize them or whatnot, but you also have to put onus on the players. I mean, Lafreniere has not improved his skating, and he's got 8 points, Marc. I mean, there are a bunch of fringe players that have more points than that. Regardless of usage,
Goudreau for one.
He hasn't been good, and it's hurting the team. He needs to be better. You know, do the most you can with the ice time you get. Force the coach to play you more, but you got to be productive, and he's not. And I know you don't want to criticize him, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Devil fans.
That's a valid point, Anthony. I'm not fighting you on that one. I do have to say the coaches aren't putting him in situations.
But
They're playing 12 and a half minutes a night. 12 and a half minutes a night.
Let's say they fix it. Let's say they fix it and they get back to winning games, but Igor is Igor again, and they get back to winning games. What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team then at that point? Because the 5-on-5 play was atrocious. The right wing production was non-existent last year, and they were getting outworked in a lot of games, and Igor was bailing them out for the first half almost into February by the time that they started winning games convincingly. This team, there is more than just needing to be fixed. Something is completely wrong with this entire group. And I'm at the point where I'm not even sure if this team can win a Stanley Cup as constructed, even with those two, Kakko and Lafreniere, taking the next steps. Because this team just doesn't have the spine. They don't have the heart. They don't have the balls. You're all a bunch of friggin' cowards. That's what you are. You are cowards. You are spineless. You are gutless pukes that disgrace the Ranger name. That's how pissed off I am with this team. Completely disgusted with the way that this team is played. It's disgusting. If a coaching change has to motivate you to actually start playing, then you know what? It's not just the coach that's the problem. It's the players that are the problem too.
Well, man, I have no way to follow that, Phil. Thank you very much. Because other than saying, once again, you got guys that you're playing.
You know what? This comment here actually might be dead on here. Yeah. Dolan might have ruined this entire thing by trying to force things and speed them up instead of just going scorched earth and letting everything just take its time and run its course. They wanted instant gratification because that's how it's got to be at Madison Square Garden, right?
Timmy Panarin.
I don't understand it. I really don't. You had a chance to do something special, and you had to be greedy. You had to stick your hand in the cookie jar, and now you're showing that you got caught because your best forward is on the other side of 30. Your second best forward is on the other side, is going to be approaching 30 very soon. And your third best forward is on the other side of 30, and he's a lazy piece of shit. So
you're going to upset Marc.
The president of the fan club. That one hurts. But
you know what? Show up and play. Show up and play. Stop sulking that you didn't get the captaincy and show up and play. That's it.
And I have a feeling that it's not as much of a burden on him that he didn't win the captaincy, but still, something. We're gonna move on because we got a lot. We do got a lot we got to cover tonight. And what are you guys thinking? I know you're all commenting right now. Everybody's doing a great job with that. Keep on commenting. Keep the therapy session that we need going. And we're gonna turn our attention over to no leadership on the ice.
I meant to hide the comment, but that comment is
But also, by the way, a simple healthy scratch on Trouba would send shockwaves through the team.
Yeah,
just ask Herb Brooks on that one. But also, let me just say this before I conclude it: Gerard Gallant is sort of like adrenaline or a muscle. You can't exist on adrenaline or a muscle the entire time. Where's the structure on this team?
There is no structure, and that's the problem. He's not an X's and O's guy, and this team needs one and a disciplinarian. And now that I'm done ranting here, but
yes.
Thank you all for wishing me a happy birthday, by the way, whether it was in the chat or on Twitter or on Facebook or in the group. I saw it all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everybody. I really do. Thank you.
Anthony, in writing, we call that a juxtaposition, how Phil just went from one end to the other. All right, going over to the other team in New York right now, the New York Islanders. They went 3-1 last week with wins over Edmonton, Philadelphia, and Columbus. They did lose to Philadelphia last night on ESPN Plus, a game that was besmirched with lots of errors. And I'm not even talking about anything that happened on the ice because, as usual, ESPN is trying to ruin hockey. So, because I had a 50-second freeze on the game that I was watching, Anthony. But plus 16 goal differential. They're tied for 5th in the league right now. And your boy Ilya Sorokin, 49 saves shutout versus the league's leading scorer. He is emerging as a Vezina Trophy candidate. I'm going to shoot up the big numbers in a second. But Anthony, take it away. You got all the other stuff you sent me today.
Well, first, won 4 in a row. I was disappointed with their effort in Philly last night. Philly's lost 10 in a row. They just played them. I think they were bound to win a game, so I'm not gonna cry about it, sulk about it too much. It is what it is. But now they're gonna be coming home on Friday, and they got Nashville again on ESPN Plus, their second game in a row on streaming. Oddly enough, they're 0-2 so far when they play on ESPN Plus. So hopefully they break that trend on Friday. But overall, playing good hockey. Matt Barzal continues to produce points. Brock Nelson scored his 11th goal the other night. He's hot. And as you mentioned, Ilya Sorokin. He's showing the numbers there. He's been outstanding for them. He's second behind Linus Ullmark in save percentage. Ullmark's at .935. Sorokin's at .933. Ullmark has faced like 65 shots less than Sorokin. So he's definitely there's no question about Vezina candidate. It's whether or not he's the
whether he ends up being the winner
to be the winner right now. And like some of the other goalies this year who've been considered in the mix, like Thompson, Ettinger, Hellebuck, they've been at the top. They've gotten shelled. Their save percentage dropped. And like, for instance, Hellebuck had a shutout last night. So now his numbers are a lot higher again. He's at .931. Sorokin's pretty much been there the whole time. He's been steady in his play. And he's faced the third highest amount of shots in the league right now for goaltenders. So his workload is very high. And he just makes, ridiculous saves look routine sometimes. I can't really say enough about him. I know a lot of people anticipated this when he finally came over from Russia. You got to know, unlike his counterpart, Shesterkin, who had some time, came over a year ahead of time in the AHL. Guy came over, went in the bubble, wasn't allowed to play at all, then had no preseason the following year. So he's arrived. He's arrived, and he's the Islanders MVP. And like I said, I really can't say enough about his play and what he does for this team. So when he's in the net, you're confident that you're going to get a win. He gave them the opportunity to tie the game last night in the third period. He made a couple of real good saves in a row. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the tying goal, but what he's going to give you, every night. So, like I said, I can't say enough good about the guy.
I think the one thing I'm going to say before I turn it over to Phil is, and I said this to you, all those numbers you were quoting me today, I'm not surprised about a single one of them. The way that I look at it with him is just very simple. He's this good. That's what was to be expected. Now, these are like the numbers that Shesterkin was putting up last year. The goals against is a little bit higher, but that's about it. The save percentage, a little bit lower than where it was at this moment, but Shesterkin was on another chart. Sorokin, everybody always said this guy was this good. So I'm not surprised about anything. And you talk about that stick save he made on St. Patrick's Day against the Rangers last season. That's just the tip of the iceberg with him. He's made a bunch of great saves, including the one against St. Louis, which probably just gave the Islanders the win that night because St. Louis was trying to make a comeback. And when you get goalies that make saves like that, as a forward, you end up just being demoralized, thinking, what the hell else do I have to do on this guy? So, I think right now I'd put Ullmark ahead of him only because Ullmark's numbers are unreal. By the end of the season, we might be talking about another New York goalie with a Vezina Trophy, Mr. Filkowski.
I mean, I could see why you would say Linus Ullmark. I mean, he's 13-1 with a .935 save percentage and a 2. Like his numbers almost mirror Shesterkin's from last year. And Sorokin's are obviously very close too, but I mean, a 2.18 goals against is a little higher. But I mean, Linus Ullmark is playing behind the best team in the league right now, and he's been a big reason as to why they've been really good. So I'm not trying to discredit him, but I mean, if you're talking about two goalies right now at the top of the league that I think do the most with not the greatest supporting cast in front of them, I got to go with Sorokin and then Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah,
Josh Morrissey has been the driving force behind Winnipeg. aside from Connor Hellebuck, because Josh Morrissey is basically like leading their team in scoring and then doing all the defensive work. I mean, there was a play in last night's game, sequence in last night's game, where he stopped Cale Makar coming in as a trailer, skated with him, blocked a shot, then stripped him of the puck after he got it back, and then went the other way, and Makar took a penalty to take him down. I mean, if that's not a microcosm of what Josh Morrissey's doing, I don't know what to tell you. But, yeah, Kyle Connor stinks right now.
He's starting to wake up.
He's starting to wake up a bit, but
I think it's 6 goals in his last 4 games.
But, I mean, I'll get back to Sorokin because I don't want to get too sidetracked. But Connor Hellebuck's doing a hell of a job in Winnipeg. But Ilya Sorokin is, as Core said before, the reason why the Islanders are winning these games for the most part. Yeah, Barzal's producing. Yeah, Brock Nelson's producing. They're getting production from guys that, they finally wanted. But he faces a crazy workload per game. If you look at all the analytics, the goals, the expected, all the expected analytics and so on, those are all probably in favor of Sorokin over just about any goaltender in the league. And without looking at them like in front of me, I can tell you that Sorokin is at the top or near the top of just about every single one of them. So Sorokin is having a great year. The Islanders are playing well. They still need to tighten up defensively in front of them. I think part of that is system adjustment from Lane Lambert. Surprised to see them lose to Philly. It's kind of shocking. But, I mean, you go 3-1 your last 4 games. They're right in the thick of things. They're probably going to be a playoff team this year. As I said, they were probably going to rebound to be in the playoffs. But they look good. They look like everything's just kind of going along for them. And if they end up being that team again where, we get through, we do what we have to do in the regular season, and then come playoff time, we turn it up, then maybe you're looking at a long run come, April for the Islanders. So I didn't get to watch really any of last night's game, and I was sick over the weekend. But for what I've seen from them lately, there's nothing to be mad about if you're an Islander fan.
Well, by the way, no love for Vitek Vanacek and his season so far, guys.
No, he's been good.
Yeah, I just don't think he's been as good as some of the other goaltenders that we've mentioned. Right now, the Devils have been playing great. He's been a big part of that. But if you look at the defensive metrics, Jersey's actually very high up in offensive and defensive metrics. So Vitek Vanacek's workload to me isn't as high as someone like Sorokin or Hellebuck or maybe even Logan Thompson. And Logan Thompson's been playing well too. He's another one that you got to look at in the Vezina conversation.
Well, there's still a long season to go with that, but you got to like his chances, especially when the guy that's over here said that he was going to be leading the league in save percentage by Thanksgiving. You might be right, just the wrong holiday, Anthony. It might be Christmas. Last thoughts on Ilya Sorokin right now.
Just stay healthy. They need him. Although, Semyon Varlamov has been good in, when he gets in there, and that just shows the importance of having a good backup goalie. Like you see what's going on with the Rangers right now. Their backup goalie doesn't have a win. So, it's important for your backup to be able to step in and provide good play. And Varlamov has done that. But, Sorokin's the guy by far. And, he's just got to stay healthy and, keep him fresh. And I think he's going to, continue to do what he's been doing his whole career so far, but especially this year.
Yeah, he's really looking like he's that special goalie that a lot of people thought he was going to be. Everybody also don't forget, you have to appease the YouTube gods. Leave us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that way you can get more information whenever we put up a video or whenever we're going live. All right, guys, we are going to talk more about the Islanders and the Rangers, and especially in some trades, but we're going to do it with a little bit of a bar talk. Actually, Anthony, I'm sorry. I forgot about this list entirely. This is the list of a lot of people saying who should win the Vezina Trophy. And right now, your runaway leader is Ilya Sorokin. So
I don't even know how Shesterkin's that high up.
I'm amazed about it, too. But let's go on to bar talk because there's a lot of league-wide news we have to discuss.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're going to buy everybody around? And your voice has to go up whenever you say that. Or are you just like, yeah, I'll take a beer, or God, I'll take a shot. And we're going to start with the deal that I can't wait till it goes down, so that way I could stop hearing his name. The New York Rangers should deal for depth instead of Patrick Kane. Philk.
I'm going to buy a round on this, actually. The reason for it being is that your overall 5-on-5 play needs big time help, as I stated before in my rants. And you can't do that by just dealing pieces away for one piece that you think is going to put you over the top. And that's another thing. If this team was playing well enough to the point where they thought Patrick Kane would be that last piece, I would say, yeah, then you deal for Patrick Kane over the depth. But no, at this point, no. And Patrick Kane hasn't looked great either, and he hasn't put great at 5-on-5. So I'm buying around on this.
Yeah, I'm going to actually jump in next and just say I'm buying around too. I've been beating this drum for a long time. Patrick Kane on the New York Rangers is completely useless. I don't see how it is. I get the people that go, oh, Panarin played well with him. Panarin's worst offensive years were with Patrick Kane. Kane's best offensive year was with Artemi Panarin. So maybe there's a boost there, but no, it's you gotta, no. They need depth. If we haven't proved it, playing Barclay Goodrow on the second line before I get on a rant, Anthony.
I'm going to go round. If come the trade deadline time, they're, got back to the Rangers of last year, then maybe I'd answer this differently. But as of right now, the state they're in right now, why would you give up future assets and picks for a guy that's going to be a rental? You're not going to be able to afford to keep him beyond next year. And there's no guarantee you can even get to where you get to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I think it would be a poor use of asset management to do that. So for right now, yeah, the Rangers would be silly to trade for him for sure.
Anthony, speaking about players that I just really want to be traded so I could stop hearing their name bantered about. Coyotes defenseman Jacob Chychrun is set to return soon.
He already did.
Oh, great. So then there it is. The New York Islanders should try to move assets for Jacob Chychrun.
Yeah, you know what? I posed this question when I heard in the last 32 Thoughts with American Friedman. They mentioned that the Islanders are one of the teams in for Chychrun, which Marc talked about also a month or two ago. And to me, I mean, he's a good player, but I mean, it's no secret come the deadline, if the Islanders are in it, they're going to try to add a scorer in the mold of a Kane or Horvat, something they really need. You already have Adam Pelech and Romanov on the left side, which is, pretty good. I don't think it would be prudent for Lou to move the assets he does have for Chychrun when it would be better served doing it for a forward. So I'm doing wrong. I would like to see him on the Islanders. I just don't think it's the right move. So, I'll go shot actually.
Okay. Philk.
Another layup for basically all the reasons that Anthony just said. Not only do the Islanders not have a great prospect pool at this point, you have a few assets that are really worth something to other teams in terms of like Ratu, Dufour, maybe one or two other prospects. And you've moved so many first-round picks in recent years. Why are you doing it for another defenseman when you need scoring help? Shot.
Yeah, and we're going to make it a hat trick, guys. As soon as I get this one off, I'm going to put the shot glass right back up there. Boom. The Islanders need a trigger man for that power play, but it's Vladimir Tarasenko, in my opinion. That's who they should be going after. That would be perfect for them.
The Blues are back. The Blues are back in playoff contention, though. So
yeah,
I don't know if
been
they're
on
going to
this
move him.
Tarasenko thing for a while, and I continue to tell you that the Blues are going to get back, and they're back.
I know. Well, maybe you should have made it while they were. Who knows? He still hasn't rescinded that trade request. But guys, speaking about talented Russian players that are excellent power play triggermen, Alexander Ovechkin. Oh, whoops. I went to the second one. Passes Wayne Gretzky for the most road goals en route to 800. He's currently at 793. Alex Ovechkin will win another Rocket before his career ends, guys. And Anthony, I'm going to start with you. You're the Ovi guy.
You know what? As much as I love him, I mean, this is going to be tough because even despite at his age, I think he's with his 2 goals last night. I think he's on pace for like 44 goals, which is really impressive. But he's getting older, and you have these younger guys in the league now, like Jason Robertson. Obviously, McDavid is showing he could score a lot. Pasternak. Tate Thompson's up and coming. He scores a lot of goals lately. So I don't know. It's going to be hard for Ovechkin to kind of score more goals than a lot of these younger guys. So as much as I never want to say I want to count him out, I'm not really confident in that. So I'll go shot actually. But with that said, he's still going to be capable of scoring 40 goals or so. But I don't know if he's going to win a Rocket.
Phil.
I've got to go shot. It just in a league where you have Austin Matthews, I just shot. And then you have Connor Bedard, who's about to come up after this season. And that
you mean the Rangers' 4th line center?
Yeah. Yeah, because the best thing for the league would actually be the Rangers not getting him so they can't screw him up. But Connor Bedard at his age had a better shot and better technique to his shooting than Austin Matthews did. And I've watched several videos on this. I've talked about this in the past. Connor Bedard's technique, shooting-wise, is damn near flawless. It's just about as almost flawless as Matt Barzal's skating technique is. And that's saying a lot about how good of a shooter that Bedard is. So you're going to have guys like Bedard and Matthews competing for the Rocket every damn year. And Ovechkin is going on, he's 37 now. So, yeah, his best days are behind him. So this is a shot.
I'm only going beer because I can't count him out. Every time I've counted out Alexander Ovechkin, he's turned around and just bursted out of whatever funk he was in. So I gotta give him all the credit in the world to what he has done in his career, his longevity, and he is going to be worthy of the gold crown when he eventually passes Wayne Gretzky, possibly.
I mean, you know what? I think if he scored 45 goals, for instance, this year, I think that puts him at 24 goals or so. That's 70 goals shy of the record that he would need to get in 4 years. I mean, I think if he has another 45 goal a year this year, I think he might be a lock to break it, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
If only there was a way I can know how many goals Wayne Gretzky had in 1982. Oh, yeah, 92. That was it.
Gee, I wonder where you got that from.
Yeah, I wonder where I got that. All right. By the way, guys, there was a big game up in Calgary last night that Matthew Tkachuk returned, and he returned to a standing ovation. And his quote was, I was looking forward to the game. It wasn't like we talked about earlier, like a game that we needed I needed this game to close the door on my history here. That wasn't the case at all. The Florida Panthers are winning, and I put that in quotes, winning the Matthew Tkachuk trade. And Phil, sorry, I didn't start with you for a while.
I'm going to say beer. One, it's too early to tell. It's too early in the season. And I know Justin Huberdeau has not had the year that everyone would want. He's only got 12 points. So, and he's pretty far off a point per game. And, Sutter hockey will do that to an offensive forward sometimes like that, unless you're Anze Kopitar and you know how to score 90 points while winning a Selke under him. That's another story. But you know what? It's too early to tell. And Huberdeau, I like Elias Lindholm. I don't know if he's the best offensive center to play with. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau and him had great chemistry. So it's another story. But, I mean, Huberdeau and Weegar, they haven't put up the points. Weegar's been really good defensively for them. Calgary has probably been my biggest disappointment this season because I expected so much more of them with the roster that they had. But, again, early, I'm going to say beer.
I'm going to jump in right now, and as I'm flashing up all these other stats with them, I'm going to go with Beer too, because again, you don't judge it by 20 games or so.
Yeah.
You judge it by and even sometimes you judge it by whatever Calgary could get back. I mean, they were able to get back Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar for and sign them long term, and they were going to probably just lose Kachuk next year in free agency or so, because he didn't want to sign long term. Probably, I mean, it's just they got a lot out of that deal, and then they end up getting Nazem Kadri after that. So it still could be better, but still, I'm gonna go Beer on that if I didn't already flick that on there. Anthony,
I'm gonna go Beer. Kachuk's 9th in the league in scoring. He's playing really well individually. But if you look, the Panthers are actually outside the playoffs right now. And I'm not saying that if they had Huberdeau still that things would be different. But the thing is, with Huberdeau, you knew he had the chemistry with Barkov. Things clicked. You change things, and now they're not where they were last year. And again, it's early; things could change. But for that reason, I'll say Beer.
and by the way, Anthony, one of those reasons why Florida is outside the playoffs right now is they're not getting exactly pristine goaltending from Sergei Bobrovsky. It's okay with Spencer Knight. His numbers are better, at least. But you look at these numbers by Sergei Bobrovsky, 3.84 goals against. He's 4-6-1 and a .878 save percentage. I mean, the only way to get worse is if you're trying to dodge it. Mr. Filkowski, Sergei Bobrovsky is done. He's cooked.
I'm going to say round. I don't see how you get better at his age at this point. I mean, he may have a renaissance year, but he's not playing behind some terrible team. He's playing behind a pretty good team that could be so much better if he played better. He just turned 34 a couple of months ago. I mean, the numbers there are they're terrible. And he's got a completely buyout-proof contract, because if you buy him out at any time during the contract, you want to know what the dead cap that you'd carry for him would be?
What is it, actually?
It's a cap hit of $6,666,667. And if you bought him out today, that would be nuts. And if you bought him out today, if you bought him out after this is the 4th year of the deal, or actually, if you bought him out after this year, so this was the 4th, 19, 20, 21, 22. No, this is the 5th year. So you would be on the hook for 2 more years of that, and then more years of about what minus that cap hit minus about $5 million. So 1.666667 million.
Yeah.
So for a couple of years. So Bobrovsky, he's done. And he needs to be better. And you know what? It brings me back to the conundrum. Why the hell did you draft Spencer Knight if your plan was to sign Sergei Bobrovsky a few weeks later in free agency?
We go right back to that all the time, and I have to keep saying we're harping on it for a reason, people, because it made no sense. I don't know if that was still Dale Talon or something, but it's just
Dale Talon.
There was still Dale Talon. That was ridiculously stupid. That was just there. Anthony.
I'll go Beer. It seems like this guy's MO is like almost every other year, every 2 years, he's like a completely different goalie. Last year he had a .913 save percentage, which is solid. This year he's playing at a rate that's much, much worse than that. So based on his pattern, I'm hesitant to say cook, because if he follows that, maybe next year he'll raise his game again. But his contract's certainly not good, probably immovable. So that's really bad for Florida. Their only hope is that, he starts to play better this year, or, next year he could play at a level he did last year.
So what you're saying is, to be fair. But, I had to play that for a second. I was going past it, but no, I'm gonna buy everybody around on this. You thought this was gonna work out when he signed. Again, I still don't understand why they drafted Spencer Knight. Their defense really isn't all that good. If you're trying to compensate for bad defense, you could see from his body language last night, It's just he's got zero confidence. I mean, I insert joke about my dating life right here to feel like who's got more confidence right now, him or me. It might be a draw, but that's just the way I'm going to say that one. Guys, this week Rupe Hintz signed an 8-year deal, or actually an 8-year extension with the Dallas Stars. It's actually more than Jason Robertson's, but that's what you get when you have to sign one and the other
more
one.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. How much?
More years. Robertson's was a 4-year deal, I believe, and then Rupe Hintz's is 8. And not only that, because it's buying out unrestricted free agency years, and then not only that, but he also plays center, so centers are usually paid at a premium.
Yeah, but also again, you had to sign Jason Robertson to start the season. They didn't have the cap space.
Yeah,
this one you could plan ahead now for the end of the year. But Jim Nill quietly doing a great job with that. Jim Nill is the front runner for the Jim Gregory Award or GM of the Year. Anthony.
I mean, certainly in the running. I think, if the Devils keep this up, I think Tom Fitzgerald's going to get nominated just for how well his team has played. He made the move for John Marino, which looks to be a steal. He's got Vitek Vanacek, who's having a good year. And then some of the other players, he put in place over there over the years. So he's going to definitely get, like I said, some accolades. I think Ron Francis could get some accolades because Seattle's looking like a really good team this year. The second year in the league, and they look like they're going to, they'll probably make the playoffs. They have a good nucleus there with good players. Shane Wright was sent to the minors, but since he went down there, he's been scoring. Matty Beniers is there. So Francis has built a good team. So there are other guys in the running, but, Jim Nill has some really good value contracts he signed with Robertson and Hintz and Heiskanen, Ettinger, who's a really, really good goalie. He locked up. Ottinger, sorry. So he's gonna. So they're gonna.
His pronunciation has been changing for like the last couple weeks. I've heard guys on
he's definitely gonna be up there. But I think there are other guys that have done a superior job. Well, not a superior, a really good job as well. That will get a lot of consideration. So I'll go Beer because he definitely will be.
John,
I'm gonna say Round. I believe that this guy has just done so much with what he has with this team. He had to lose John Klingberg, and then he took the risk of giving Joe Pavelski a 1-year deal of $5.5 million with a full no movement clause. And Joe Pavelski has just rewarded him by being a point per game player at 38 years old. He's stuck with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, and Tyler Seguin has come back with, I wouldn't say a vengeance, but he looks like a much better player. I mean, he brought in Mason Marchment, which was another big and underrated move. He's drafted guys like Ty Dellandrea and Wyatt Johnston. I don't think that you should be getting rewarded and having past laurels come into consideration, but what he's been able to get especially with a guy like Denis Gurianov, who was supposed to be a top 6 figure in this team, not really producing and being hurt, it is just incredible. And then he makes the deal for Nils Lundkvist, and Nils Lundkvist, he's only got 5 points so far, but he's looked the part, and that's a big thing for me. I mean, he with what he's lost and the guys that he's re-signed, that's my case for Jim Nill over everybody else. Yeah, Tom Fitzgerald is definitely going to be up there, but Tom Fitzgerald is basically working with the same team aside from a few players. You look at guys like Andre Palat, who hasn't really played yet, so you can't really say anything about that move. And then Vitek Vanacek has been really good, but the team in front of him has just been tremendous. And yeah, and I'm not saying that should take anything away from Tom Fitzgerald, but to me, Jim Nill has made all the moves. He's made all the moves, and he's had to make hard moves, especially when you're swallowing the loss of a guy like John Klingberg. That's tough. And considering that you lose a guy like that and your team is still playing well, that's it for me.
I am actually going to go beer because Anthony did outline two other good candidates that are in there in Tom Fitzgerald and Ron Francis. And Ron Francis is going to get a lot of recognition because obviously they are an expansion team. And
he'd be the other one, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, and they're looking like they're pretty good. More on Seattle in a moment, but it's just, and also more on the Devils in a moment in a way. But it's just going to be, it's going to be down to those guys, and I think there's some real good candidates. Hopefully, some other candidates can get in there, maybe like Chris Drury or Lou Lamoriello. But I mean, right now they got a tall order to try to get over on these guys, because as I mentioned, the Seattle Kraken, who are 8-1-1 in their last 10, 31 points right now, second in the Pacific Division, and they just won a hockey game 9-8 last night under a bit of hinky circumstances, because we'll get into that one in a second. But actually, we'll get into that one right now. Have you guys ever seen a game where it's been like 25 seconds left? They stop the clock. The real stopwatch is going, which, by the way, good work by the NHL, because at least they got a guy still manually doing it. We've seen in our men's league games, like somebody stops the clock and then, oh, wait, start the clock. And then, oh, wait, we got to run off 10 seconds out of nowhere. But that's what happened last night at the end of LA. There was 25 seconds on the clock. And then, Seattle just scored again. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, the Seattle Kraken have arrived. Anthony, start this one up.
I mean, for right now, you got to say Round, right? They're playing really well. They're being led by Andre Burakovsky. It's turned out to be a really good signing for them. Jordan Eberle only has 6 goals, but I think he's got like 21 points, so he's almost a point per game player right now. Jared McCann's playing really well. They got Oliver Bjorkstrand, who's not really scoring at the way he did in Columbus, but nonetheless, he is a good addition to the team. Matty Beniers, they got a good group of forwards, a very good group of forwards. Their defense.
By the way, who predicted Matty Beniers to be the Calder Trophy winner this year?
Yeah.
Oh God! Any chance he gets to pat his own back?
Oh no, that's Anthony's, not mine.
Never mind. I thought that was you for a second.
No, he was asking me about it. Yeah. So they got a good team overall. I know Grubauer was hurt for a little bit. Their goaltending's solid enough with him in goal. So I like them in the Pacific Division right now. You never know. Edmonton 1 minute looks like they're going to be a really good, strong contender, and the other minute, they look really bad, like they're a 2-man team. So Calgary's struggling. This is Seattle's chance to really kind of take the ball and run here, and so far they have.
I mean, Edmonton, sometimes they look great, and sometimes they score 4 unanswered goals in the third period to beat a team that was overconfident. So anyway, Phil, Seattle has arrived.
I'm going to say Round. You know what? I was very hesitant with this team, but I'm starting to see signs that they've bought into what Dave Haxtell is selling them. And they're playing hard, fast hockey. They're up-tempo. They're in your face. They're structured. Yanni Gourde is scoring maybe about just over a 40-point pace, a point every other game. Daniel Sprong is almost a point per game. It's like the island of misfit toys or misfit overachieving toys. Look at Daniel Sprong, almost a point per game. Justin Schultz has come back from the dead because, for a while he looked like he was going to become a real good offensive defenseman in Pittsburgh, and then he just kind of fell off a bit. Now he's back. You got somebody like Andre Burakovsky scoring over a point per game. He's never been at that type of pace at any stop in his career, especially this late in the season. And I know it's still early, the biggest thing for me is that the guy that was meant to be their franchise player, their first ever draft pick, you talked about him, Matty Beniers, he's there. He's there, and he's there earlier than expected. And that's big, because that guy has got a friggin' massive set of balls. He is like Randy Marsh in South Park, walking around with a wheelbarrow to hold them. Because that's the way that he plays. He's got swagger. He's got a great two-way game. He's a pain in the ass to play against. I mean, that's the type of guy you want to build your team around. He's going to be a Selkie winner one day, more than likely. It's not a show without Giuseppe, making an appearance, or an audio appearance, if you will. Yeah, Seattle's doing everything right, and it's kind of nice to see, because you know what? This is another expansion team that was going into a market where we weren't sure how they were going to do. And all of a sudden, they're arrived quicker than expected. So, you know what? Good for Seattle. Good job of Ron Francis, as we were talking about before in the previous segment in Bar Talk. And you know what? The fans, I mean, it's nice to have a hockey team after all this time, and it's cool to see them winning. Just don't win at the Rangers' expense anymore. Thanks.
Well, you know what? You guys talked me up. I was going to say beer because there's a lot of things I'm expecting. Burakovsky to go back, Martin Jones to become Martin Jones again. There's so many things that are with that, but I got to go round. And you know what? Martin Jones is one of those reasons. Look at this numbers: 12-4 with and 12-4-2. He's got a 2.90 goals against average and
an 893 save percentage.
893 save percentage, and he's their star right now. Grubauer, 5 games played, he's 1-1, and he's not really doing well either. He's got like almost Sergei Bobrovsky numbers, but you gotta say that these guys really, they look like they're doing a hell of a lot of good work up there. And yes, they're taking advantage of some Pacific Division teams that thought they were better than what they are, whether or not it's beating up on Vancouver early while they're starting to put things together in Vancouver. So a little bit good for that. But 8-1-1 in the last 10, maybe I owe Dave Hackstall an apology. He's one of those guys that is just, I love when people prove me wrong. Go ahead, prove me wrong. So, and the last one, guys, last Wednesday night, New Jersey Devil fans threw chicken fingers as well as other objects on the ice. After cans of beer. After 3 disallowed goals. Fans can be justified for throwing objects on the ice. And this is a no-brainer for me. It's a round. Sorry, wait. It's a shot. It's the other way around. It can't be justified. You can never throw anything on the ice, whether it's for a disallowed goal, which, by the way, the first one I saw, that should have been disallowed. He made contact with the goalie skate. The Rangers had a similar one like that on Saturday, and I said the Devils had a goal disallowed on that. It was going to happen. That was when Ryan Carpenter hit Jack Campbell.
Yeah, that would have been the 4th goal.
Yeah, this one was Nathan Bastian in the first one. And Eric Holla blatantly kicked the puck into the net. It doesn't matter if it goes off a defense.
The third disallowed goal was actually not a goal. And even the broadcasters both said that that's the rule.
Right. So, look, fans, I understand your frustration. And by the way, you win 13 in a row. The night they ends up breaking on you. You don't throw stuff on the ice. Or in overtime wins, I will turn it over to you, Mr. LaRocco.
Yeah, it's shot. Look, I get that you're being at a game where you see your team score 3 goals and have them disallowed. That's unheard of. I mean, that doesn't happen very often at all, where one team scores 3 times and each time it's disallowed. So, I mean, I get their frustration part of it, but still, I mean, you don't throw, what, full cans of beer, something that could actually hurt. That's unacceptable. Throwing something that's not going to hurt anybody, even that you shouldn't do. But I mean, when you're throwing, beer cans that some of the Maple Leafs players were referencing after the game, and it's dangerous. So I get it. You want to show your frustration. If you want to, throw a fucking fling a cap or that you shouldn't do, but at least it's whatever. But a can of beer that could actually legitimately hurt someone, that's disgusting. You don't do that.
Phil,
in no such sort of way. And I can tell you right now, there's been times where I've wanted to throw objects. No, I look back when I think of this. I look back at the Chris Kreider incident with Carey Price in Game 1 of the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals, and you look at it, at the still shot of Alexei Emelin's stick, like literally bending over his knee, and like the smallest thing can take someone and just put them either on their back or completely on their face without notice at high speeds like that.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine throwing something, and not only that, but think of this. Would you like that if somebody was doing that to you if you were on the ice, especially like during the game? Not only that, but you make the workers, you make the ice crew go out and clean it up. It's bad for the players' safety, and it delays the game. So you're accomplishing absolutely nothing while making yourself look classless. And the worst part about it is it's during a 13-game win streak. 13-game win streak, and the third goal was no goal.
Yeah, not even close.
It was no goal. You don't even understand the damn rules.
And I mean, again, you talk about all the stuff that's being thrown on the ice. If only there was a way for fans to express themselves without throwing stuff on the ice. Oh, you could always boo people or chant something else. I mean, what if you throw a bottle cap on there and then it's not found, just like you were talking about? The smallest thing.
I'd rather hear them chant every obscenity in the world at the referees than see them throw things at the ice. And the worst ones, I don't even care if it's in front of kids at that point. I would rather hear that than see them throw things.
Yeah. Well, again, it's just, you can't ever justify doing that in any way. Here's the list of things you should be able to throw on the ice. Teddy bears in Calgary this month. Hats, octopi, and catfish in Nashville.
And rats in Florida.
Oh, they had to put a stop to that one. And I still remember the video in the 96 finals. Patrick Waugh sitting in the net as he's just getting rained on. Those were great days. Those were actually great days. But no, you can't.
Yeah,
at least they were plastic rats. They weren't bad. Yeah, and then they were going to penalize the Devils if they kept doing it. That's why it was another reason. But guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. And of course, there's lots of things we haven't even chilled about. I haven't even mentioned this. If you use like a loofah or something, or what do you call it? Is it a loofah? Is it a lather builder?
Yeah,
I forgot what the actual man's name for it is. Use one of these. It's from Manscaped. About I think they're $20 right now. Go up there and go check that. So
I highlighted that because I talked about it a little bit in our text, but why is Yaroslav Halak starting tonight and not Igor Shesterkin? And I say that because we have a back-to-back on
Gallant. Gerard Gallant is one of those brainlet Wojak memes. That's why.
You have a back-to-back Friday, Saturday. Why wouldn't you start Shesterkin tonight? And then they split the back-to-back, so you have your starter that's played 2 out of the 3 games. Now with Halak starting tonight, I mean, either Shesterkin's going to play back-to-back, which is fine, but, I mean, not really prime. You usually want to use your other guy. Or they split, but if they split, that means Halak has played 2 of the last 3, and he's terrible. So I don't understand why he's starting tonight and not Igor. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just a really boneheaded decision.
If you want to say it was for the comments after the game, and you're like, let me give him a break because his confidence is waning, I understand. The rest of it makes no sense. The rest of it makes absolutely no sense. Because other than that, are they going to start Halak back-to-back games? Or one or the other? You got 3 straight games, 2 against Ottawa, and then 1 against Chicago, I think is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Imagine being in a big slump and thinking that starting Yaroslav Halak, who is 0 for the friggin' century this year and looks like a horse's ass, is the best idea to get you out of that slump in 2 out of 3 games. Please.
And I gotta tell you guys, I was one of the people that defended Halak. I can't.
I like the signing too, but he's been awful.
I can't defend him after the last game. It's just
the no movement clause is terrible too.
What? A no movement clause for a backup goaltender. What is wrong with this franchise?
that is like the NFL giving a no movement clause to a punter.
My God, what is wrong with you? Not even a kicker like Justin Tucker, a punter. Oh, let's go give Riley Dixon a no movement clause. Oh God, what is friggin' wrong with this team? Oh my God, you could have signed Eric Comrie, as Pete says. Oh, hey, there's a guy who has a brother on this team, and his name is Ryan. Charlie Lindgren would have been a decent backup.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? Maybe that would have been something to actually pick things up, mentally speaking. It's just, but come on, really? I mean,
Kincaid would have been a better option at this point, and I don't even like Kincaid.
Never mind Kincaid. How about Louis Domingue? Louis Domingue's a better option. They have him.
I don't know about that. Oh, jeez.
No, get all spicy pork you can. Maybe that'll actually help him. But I mean, it's so frustrating watching him because, again, I was the big Yaroslav Halak defender. You watch that game against Anaheim. My God, he was awful. Awful. And then you're like, oh, hey, he makes a good save. Yeah, but you let in the goal. For every goal you let in, 5 saves, 10 saves is what matters.
I just don't get it. I don't. This team is one terrible front office move after another. No, let's not get rid of Ryan Reeves in the offseason and keep Tyler Mott. Let's keep Ryan Reeves. And then when we already know that he's just well past the point of being a significant regular contributor. Oh, let's just go get Ryan Carpenter and not bring back Kevin Rooney. Oh, that's great because Kevin Rooney was a decent fourth line center who could freaking kill penalties for this team.
Oh, hey, Phil, don't worry about it. You got Sammy Blais. He's coming back. He's got to quote
Sammy Blais got an ACL injury. Oh, yeah, but let's bring him back. He's not cooked or anything like that.
Sammy Blais ain't walking through that door.
Just because we have to try to justify and save face for the Pavel Buchnevich trade, we're going to keep Sammy Blais over guys like Tyler Mott. Oh man, that's great. That is gold, dude. These guys are they are so full of themselves with their heads so far up their asses that they don't know which direction the light is coming from.
Right.
I don't understand it anymore. I really don't. You're still trotting out Libor Hayek out there as a sixth defenseman when it's been proven that Libor Hayek is dog shit. And you know what the worst part is? He's not even been the worst defenseman on this team.
Yes, that was what I was about to say.
He hasn't. That's the sad part. But you could have gotten John Merrill instead of Patrick Nemeth last year. That wasn't in the cards for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, no, it had nothing to do with Tom Wilson.
Oh my God, stupid.
So and if for the people listening on audio, that was Anthony highlighted Cora's comment, which said, go sign Barclay Goodrow at $3.6 million for 6 years and put him in a role he doesn't fit in.
Again, remember what I said when they signed Barclay Goodrow. They had to win on one of the 3 fronts.
Mm-hmm.
You either had to give him less term, lesser AAV, or no trade protection at all. And they failed on all 3 fronts. They gave him the higher AAV, which was stupid. They gave him a crazy amount of years for a bottom 6 player. And you never see bottom 6 players like that get those types of years. And then you gave him modified no trade clause. What is going on with this team? Chris Drury has done nothing to make me think that there is anything in this head of his other than air.
And he was a guy who was nominated for GM of the Year last year. So
you know what? We're never going to get access to the Rangers because I trash this team way too much in their front office. And you know what? I'm totally fine with that. But you know what? Forget about it. Forget about it. I would rather sit there and tell the truth about how incompetent this organization is, as opposed to be some ass-kissing, brown-nosing yes man who says good things about how this organization is ran when it's not true at all. Anybody who has cataracts can even see it.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I would rather have us be honest. Anthony, I'm sorry.
I mean, like I said, I relate to that. I mean, a combination of Marc and Sells got us blacklisted by Big Lou and canceled our marketing deal with Romanov because I told it like it is. So I get it. Yeah, but you know what it is? You can't be a homer. You got to tell it like it is. And you know, I'll applaud them when it's necessary, and I'll also criticize them when it's necessary. So yeah, I feel you there, and you know, it is what it is.
As Anthony said, energy. And you know what? The other thing I'm going to mention is I'm proud of us that we're actually taking the initiative to criticize. Because if you're going to compliment, you have to criticize. You can't. That's not being a journalist. And look, we're pundits.
Marriage, love and marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Go together like a horse and carriage. This, I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other.
So, but it's just, and right now, Chris Drury is probably just as steamed hearing us say this because he probably knows the truth too. It was a mistake to keep Ryan Reeves if you were going to waive him in the middle of this. And if it was part of that, he's Gallant's guy, then why not look, then that's on Gallant too. That's what it comes out to be. Don't waive Rero. And
fair, but you know what? At the same time, okay, so you bring in Gustav Riedel to try to help out the fourth line, and he looks great in preseason. Why not just admit that Ryan Carpenter was a mistake? It's a low risk, low reward signing. Who gives a shit if he turned out to be bad? If you waived him, oh well, you kind of need players like that. What, players that can't keep up with the play is what we need?
And if what the idea is now of keep treading water until you get to the trade deadline, I wanted to make up the sketch for us with the middle of Predator, which, by the way, is a totally awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, everybody should have seen it. I can't believe how many people I know in the last week haven't seen the movie Predator. But anyway,
we're the original 1987 Predator.
A what?
You mean the original 1987 Predator with Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Jesse Ventura?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I told them all to get out of the bar. But basically saying we make a stand now or there won't be any playoffs, because that's what it comes down to right now. You have to make a stand now. If you wait like the Vancouver Canucks did last year and then you play 650 hockey the rest of the way, wicked. Oh my goodness, wicked.
No, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. That's a movie foul right there.
All right, you can't watch another hockey game until you see Predator.
Yeah, so, your homework assignment now is to watch Predator and get to the chopper afterwards.
But I mean, it's just that they have to make a stand now before it gets out of control. What if the Rangers go 1-2 in the next 3 games? Then you just blew easy points because you already did it against the Panthers. Sorry, the Panthers, Anaheim. You already did it against Edmonton, which all you had to do is play 20 minutes and not give up 4 goals. And again, my most damning statement about it is it was expected as soon as they let in the second goal. And Turk didn't want to take a timeout at 3-2. So,
nope.
Side note, since Anthony hasn't been able to say anything in a while, Lane Lambert has been doing a good job.
He has not managed his timeouts. Like, he hasn't used them. Like, if you're not going to use them, like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
I know, but again, you have to make the stand now. You can't let this snowball. If they get to 8 points out in that division, the Herculean task you might have to go on. And by the way, before I forget, guys, because I'm sorry, we've been on so many rants today. Get well, Chris Letang, because it's It's horrible what he's going through. He did it once before in 2014. He's out right now indefinitely with a stroke. He did come back 2 months later, but that was also 8 years ago. So all the best to him and his recovery.
Mhm.
But you can't be putting yourself behind when you have Alexander Ovechkin in your division, Sidney Crosby in your division, the Islanders playing well, the Devils playing well. Carolina still looks like they want to win the division, which they probably will this year because they turn it on in March. And then the Rangers are going to be outside looking in going, hey, maybe we could get a wild card spot. No, that's not the answer. They gotta. Oh, I'm losing.
They gotta win. I mean, Ottawa twice in Chicago. You need 6 points. It's just you need 6 points.
You can't get anything less than 6 here.
But here's my question. If they do go 0-3, for instance, or 1-2, is that when they have to make the move? You have to let Turk go.
I would think it would be, but I'm kind of with Anthony where I don't know if it's going to happen. But I will say this. Gallant has gotten himself fired at each of his 3 previous stops midseason. 3. And like I said before, it's really hard to do that for an organization. So if this organization starts to see what those others were seeing, what's going to stop them from doing that then at that point? I mean, Hartford is not exactly a great team. They're okay. But, I mean, and you got a guy that said that he wanted to coach an original 6 team out there. You also have Rick Tocchet out there. There are guys out there that they could hire. And I don't know if Barry just wants to uproot himself in the middle of the season, but you got to – I mean, if this team wants a disciplinarian and Dolan says, go get me a guy that's going to get me a cup in a couple of years, I mean, that's the guy you would have to pull the trigger on it.
Here's a name that people aren't mentioning enough. Chris Knobloch. Bring him up. You're already paying him. You don't have to go out to
what's going to happen if that does happen.
Yeah. But I mean, it's almost like you're trying to see whether or not this team can cure itself. I don't know if it can. So right now they got a disease. Let's take a couple questions. We have about 5 more minutes we can go, and it's an actual 5, maybe even less than that. I'm actually clicking on for the first time right here. Actually, this is a great example, guys. Upstate Isle. Gallant wins games, not championships.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, he came close that one time. Otherwise, he hasn't come close, and he hasn't looked good.
Anthony, is this true?
That?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I guess Trotz, one of the last interviews he did with an outlet, he said that no one's called Lou to ask for any permission. So I do think Lou would have to give permission to whatever team to essentially free Trotz. So
I didn't see anything about that.
I don't know if he would do that for the Rangers, but I mean, I really don't know.
Technically speaking, when guys are fired, that you have to actually ask permission from the other team.
Yeah.
Or you could be a coach in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time when the team looks like they're going to win a championship in 54 years and negotiate your way out of town with Detroit and St. Louis. But
Mike Keenan. Oh, Mike Keenan.
Fucking Mike Keenan. And then I got friends of mine yelling at me, telling me now they need a guy like Keenan. Yeah, a guy that quit on them. Ranger fans never forget that. He quit on them. Pete is saying this right here. Gallant's flame burns bright early, but man, it fades quick. And that is true. That is unfortunately very, very true. And right now, my Budweiser light is starting to go off.
That's interesting.
That's the pregame. Yeah. I
got
where the glass on this went. I'll have to find it.
The Bridgeport Islanders beat writer tweeted, Atu Rowdy does not appear to be in Bridgeport's lineup tonight. And then Stefan Rosner covers the Islanders, retweeted it, said, could be something, could be nothing. Isles on ice tomorrow morning for practice. So, I mean, I don't think it has to do like anything trade related, but I do think it may mean he may be getting a recall. Which
Wow, if that's the case, that's actually good news for the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean it's probably more so for an injury because Bailey was out last night with a upper body, which is why Ross Johnston played. And then during the game, Cal Clutterbuck left early, so he might be unavailable. So looks like Ratu might be coming up.
Well, that would be his first official NHL game, right?
Yeah, he's never played an NHL game before.
He was actually pretty good. He was pretty good in the preseason. I was at the game against the Devils. I think he had like 3 assists.
It will be interesting to see him if he does get recalled.
Al, by the way, it's great to see you. I haven't been able to see you in a while, but I got to tell you this. I want Tony DeAngelo nowhere near the New York Rangers. I mean, I understand what you're saying. And but it's just Tony DeAngelo is one of those guys I said was going to be dealt. The writing was on the wall. Same thing with Buchnevich, unfortunately. But Holmstrom has looked terrible in his couple games. Better than JGP.
See, I don't think he's looked terrible. Holmstrom's the type of player where he doesn't wow you. He's not flashy. I think he's done a lot of the little things good. I think he's been good along the wall. He's been in position. So I don't agree with that. I just think, like I said, he's not flashy. He's not going to make you jump out of your seat. So, but I don't think he's looked out of place.
Mike is saying Gallant is better with teams that are a mishmash than a team with established players. Actually, the way that I'll say it with you is Gallant is an underdog coach. And as soon as he's got a team with expectations, that's not good. Because then the team has to try to replicate things. And I mean, I was talking to you guys. I looked at the Rangers schedule. And it's just, oh, good. Jimmy Vesey on the first line again.
Yeah.
I'm all in for sandpaper and Anthony, but problem is that Jimmy Vesey is getting 16 to 18 minutes a game, and you're not using all the other guys. You want to say that if you want to say in your case, Vesey's out playing Lafreniere, that's a big problem. If you're saying that Lafreniere is getting less ice time for Jimmy Vesey, that's another big problem. You got to do both on this.
Vesey has no business on the first line, though. I'll say that.
Yeah. Or here's another guy, just like Paul Maurice. Wicked is saying, to me, at best, Holmstrom is Bailey, last year's version, which to me isn't good. Anthony?
Yeah, I see I could see Simon Holmstrom being a Josh Bailey type player, like, kind of vanilla, just, maybe 40-point player, maybe 50-point as a career high, but solid enough in all three zones. Like I said, I think he was a little bit of a reach when the Islanders took him that year in the first round. So I don't have high expectations for him. So I think he's going to be like a third line player, personally.
I got the sex bots that are coming in right now. But Anthony, so you're talking about reaches, right? Because we were supposed to mention him tonight, and then we didn't. But Vitaly Kravtsov, he's got no time with the New York Rangers. Granted, unlike Kakko and Lafreniere, I don't see anything with Kravtsov. I don't even see the potential. But let's get over that. So the Rangers take Vitaly Kravtsov in 9, and then Evan Bouchard, Oliver Wahlstrom, and Noah Dobson go next. That's that was one of those first guess mistakes when that happened with me.
That's, like I said, that tweet I sent you from that Ranger fan. That's picking Kravtsov over Dobson and Wahlstrom is, not a good look.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And I'm turning on the game right now so that way I can get it on in there. But we'll go like another couple more minutes. But by the way, Anthony. Okay, well, actually, in that case, then we'll just get out of here. Because, by the way, I didn't get to tell you guys the news that I'm going to be going to Chicago to go catch the Rangers versus the Blackhawks in 3 weeks. So that's
Oh,
I can't
nice.
wait to see Chicago Stadium for the first time. I'm going to be going with Pete,
Nice.
my buddy that lives down there. Puck yeah, and it's going to be a great time. So hopefully,
All right.
we got to see more away rinks. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we do have to cut this one off a little bit early. Actually, not really early. It's 1:29. We're probably going to do more timed around 5:30, especially if there's a game that night. So, guys, thank you very much. And unfortunately, got to cut it off really quick as the dogs are barking. I'm even going to skip bye. So hopefully, throw on the Ranger game. Hopefully, I don't know which one to root for. I really don't. It's like when you're working with a coworker and you just want him to show up late so that way he can get fired. I mean, but you know what? The Rangers need to win. They got to get the win. So here we go, guys. Rangers Senators coming up right now. Go switch over to MSG. Thank you guys very much for staying with us the entire time. Oh, and of course for you, Pete. Let's go Canes.